video. For example, from the movie data set, if we cluster the movies, so this is action movie, this is a sci-fi movie, this is a melodrama. So after we cluster, we can realize the meaning of that cluster. Okay? Then after that, can we manage such a meaning, semantic of the cluster? So for example, I apply the EN clustering algorithm. So EN clustering try to use what? Probability density function, then maximize, optimize, okay? Using likelihood function. That doesn't mean it's in terms of likelihood function, it's a good cluster. But can we say this cluster has a special meaning, like the sci-fi movie or the action movie? So can we manage such a meaning of the cluster? That is the idea of the conceptual clustering. That would like to try to find and keep manage such a meaning of that. Okay? Like this is the result of the classification. So at that time, after that, can we classify something, the meaning of that, like the animal is classified into fish or something like that. But very hard to say. So I gave up to use that. So code, and I still have the code that I have used 10 years ago, but it's hard to apply to the clustering algorithm to manage the meaning of the way to think about this. In other words, even though we successfully cluster the data, don't expect that each cluster represents a special meaning. Okay? Because when the items are clustered, that is based on the object function, probability density function, not like the human perception. Okay? So that is a different thing. So we'd like to, some of the researchers would like to bridge that gap. But classification is slightly different, huge different. Because when you classify, you have the objective, like whether based on the temperature, humidity, and the other weather information, we'd like to decide whether we can have the picnic one. So we have the history of that. So we'd like to find the key point, key feature to decide whether we can have the picnic one. So that is the meaning. Even that during the training in the algorithm, we have the meaning. When we classify picnic, not picnic, the outing, no outing. So each class has the meaning. But clustering algorithm, there's actually no meaning. Even though we cluster, somebody would like to cluster, apply the cluster for binary problem, like the positive case, negative case. We cannot guarantee whether this is the positive case, positive of the flu, negative of the flu. Okay? It can be clustered based on objective function. So don't be confused. But there are research to address that problem. Okay? But as you can see, it's old research. But I believe in near future, so this conceptual clustering will be very important. Because anyway, even though Samsung and Apple, they try to make the intelligent system, so we realize even though the machine is perfectly intelligent right now, that's not like the human being. That's based on the structured data. Sometimes it's hard to say whether we have we can find the meaning from the result of the data mining. And also neural network based, the neural network can be considered as the old-fashioned, but still the neural network can be used for the cluster. Okay, so what time is it now?
7:55.
Okay, just in time. So I think that you can start the recording today. So